Hello, everyone. Hope the semester is going well for you. We're kind of into it now. Your websites, your Google Classrooms all look fantastic. This week, we're going to look at presentation applications in the classroom. And in case you're wondering or asking yourself, what is a presentation application? It's basically your PowerPoint, your Google Slides, your Nearpod, your Pear Decks, your Powtoons, things like that. We're going to look at them, kind of the benefits to them in a couple slides here, and then we're going to talk about our big assignment for this week. Well, I don't want to say big, but our assignment this week. All right. Why use a presentation application in your classroom? I think they're pretty standard at this point. Probably you can't go through a Shepherd class that you haven't seen a PowerPoint, or I'm a social studies person or a history class or anything like that. But what do? They provide organization and structure. I don't have it on here, but I think PowerPoints can help you plan. They look professional. I think students notice that type of thing. I will say this. I would strongly recommend making your own presentations, especially your first couple years. It helps you get in touch with the content a little bit and your standards. There's a lot of awesome PowerPoint sites and application sites that you can get things from. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that because some of them are really good, but if you're not going to make your own and you're going to use them from other sites or other sources, please make sure you go through those PowerPoints and those presentation applications thoroughly, because sometimes there's stuff on there that might mess up your flow because you don't really need to talk about it or it's someone else's material. So you need to clean it up and all. So basically what I'm getting at here is when you're using your presentation application, go through it. It'll make you more organized. It'll help you know your content, and it'll make you look professional when you actually know it. Also, I think just providing illustrated content to your students is a nice thing. It's not the old days of the overhead and stand and deliver and take notes. So it's the way it is today. Presentation applications. Few things when you're designing your presentations. Make sure you keep it simple. A lot of people really like the concept of just using black and white slides. I'm not quite to that level. I think, you do want to keep it simple, but a little bit of color is not a bad thing, at least in my opinion. Make sure you limit the text. That is something I think a lot of people do struggle with. Hopefully none of you do. But a PowerPoint is supposed to just summarize the information. You should already know the content to expand on it, or it should be the content that you want your students to really to know. A lot of people have I hate to use the word bad habit, but I feel like it is a bad habit of slapping entire paragraphs up on a PowerPoint and then just reading the whole paragraph. You might as well give someone a book if you're going to do that. Also, I think you'll find, especially if you're in secondary education, that if you do that, students are going to try to write down every word that you have on that PowerPoint, even if you have bolded and have guided notes for students with that paragraph. Keep it simple. Keep it limited. Be sure to use quality images. Make sure you cite your images. There's a lot of places that you can get images besides Google Images. You can go to Getty Images is a great site. Just make sure that you cite it and what you have on there, and it's high quality and students can see it. Be mindful of your colors. Don't make sure that the font and the colors line up and can be easily seen. And also, don't get too funky with your fonts. Fun fonts are great, but you want to make sure that it's something that everyone can read and make sure it's a good size. A lot of times I've even just noticed when students do presentations, they like to do it on 8-inch font and such. I think you need to make sure it's big and bold so your students can see it. Also, I would really take advantage of using clips and audio and video. Again, I've said it a million times, but I was a social studies teacher, and there's a show that I watch on PBS called Rick Steves Europe. He has a classroom site where he has like little 2-3 minute videos about certain sites in Europe. I have inserted those in my presentations before and had students respond to stuff. So something you may want to consider. I think it's a nice way to kind of balance out your lectures and provide an opportunity for feedback. And one other thing, it sounds very simple, but think about your slide order, the way you want to talk and present the information. You want to have a good flow. And of course, your first year or two, you might use these PowerPoints for years. Make sure you keep them fresh. But I think you'll find that there's a certain order that you talk about things, and you want to kind of have it in that so you don't get too off topic. But I think these are pretty straightforward things. And again, these are just, even if you're just doing a PowerPoint or a Google slide, keep it, to this. There are a lot of options though, especially, and they're expanding every day besides PowerPoint. The big four that I think of are always Nearpod, Pear Deck, Prezi, and Powtoons. Nearpod, I'm going to probably go on a little bit of a rant here. I love Nearpod. It's my favorite thing that I actually use as far as a presentation one. I just think it's the most developed. It has the most bells and whistles. It provides I think, the easiest way to get summative or formative, mostly formative type assessments done. You can download data and responses. I just think it's the best. I've been using it now for 6-7 years. It's been around a lot longer than I think people actually know or think. Also, I have a lot of videos up. I have some videos up on Sakai for each one of these things. Not Prezi. I have a video up for Nearpod, Pear Deck, and Powtoons. I don't know which ones you watch or how much time you put into all those. I would strongly recommend watching the one on Nearpod, mainly because a lot of the counties, actually I think all of the counties around Shepherd now that you will probably be applying for a job in, use Nearpod. And they're probably going to ask you in interviews, are you familiar with Nearpod? What technology do you use? Get familiar with Nearpod. I'm not saying you have to be an expert by the end of this class, but at least we're going to have an assignment related to that. And I think it would be really recommended to just know how to navigate it. Pear Deck is actually Nearpod for Google Slides. It's not quite as refined, I guess is a good way to put it, compared to Nearpod, but it has a lot of cool features, especially in that it has a lot of diagrams, Venn diagrams, responses. It works similar to Nearpod as far as having students do a formative type assessment and respond to things via other electronics. Prezi, I think a lot of people have seen Prezi. It's kind of a glorified PowerPoint. It kind of has the zoom in, zoom out type windows. And Powtoons, I will be the very first to admit, I never actually did a lecture with Powtoons. I had my students create Powtoons. It's an animated feature. It's kind of fun and kind of cool how it works. It's just, I thought it was a little too distracting to actually do any type of teacher-directed talk, so to speak. That last link there that you see on the slide is actually posted up on Sakai. Those are other alternatives to PowerPoints, but PowerPoint's great. I'm going to jump back to Nearpod because that's the one that we really need to focus on, I think, this week. You can make PowerPoints and load them up on Nearpod. Actually, I would probably recommend that because you can kind of correct things. I think PowerPoint's still the best as far as navigating and creating the documents themselves, and then you can load it up on Nearpod. But with all that being said, we have something that we're going to do this week. You have an assignment. I really want you to use Nearpod. I just think it's the one that'll benefit you the most in the future, and especially in terms of employment. I want you to create 10 content slides. There's instructions that are up on Sakai in a video to kind of show you that, but I will be more than happy to show you how to do it if you want to swing by my office. You can make the slides literally on Nearpod, or you can make a PowerPoint and just dump it into the Nearpod create file. I do not have it on this assignment, but you're going to have to go to nearpod.com and you're going to have to create a Nearpod account. It's free. There are a lot of bells and whistles with Nearpod. You don't get them all with a free account. You get the polling, you get the quizzes, and you get the open-ended question function. And that's all I really want you to be familiar with today. I will do a little bit of hype job here for Nearpod. If you are willing to spend about $10 a month and get the gold membership, you get a lot of other cool features that are related to science, virtual field trips, video clips, things like that. I don't know if I would recommend spending the money right now, mainly because when you get hired somewhere, most counties now have a county account, so you'll get all of those features without having to pay for it. The only downside to it is I think you lose it unless you get it transferred through Nearpod. But that's a story for another day. The assignment, let me rehash that again. You're going to complete a Nearpod presentation. You're going to do 10 content slides. What I mean by that, I'm doing something on the French Revolution. There are going to be 10 slides related to content related to the French Revolution. I will throw a bone, so to speak. One of them can be a title slide. So title slide, 9 content slides. You need to put one poll, which is a feature of Nearpod, within your Nearpod presentation. If I was again doing the French Revolution, it might be something like, do you think the French Revolution is more important than the American Revolution? And yes or no, and I'll take a poll. You can need to put one quiz on there. The quiz can be 3 or 4 questions. That's fine. I just want you to use the tool. And then I want one open-ended question. In case you're wondering, and the video on Nearpod will get into this, these are all things that you can do one of 2 ways. You can do a straight up conversation. If your students have Chromebooks or iPads, they just join a session and they can answer these things instantly. You can also, and as you can see down there at the bottom, you can also create Nearpods and have it done student-paced, where the students literally complete the Nearpod on their own and they answer the questions, and of course you get the information. What I'm asking you to do is complete these 10 content slides, one poll, one quiz, one open-ended question within the Nearpod, and then I want you to submit on Sakai your lesson code to me for a student-paced lesson so I can check it out. That's it. Obviously, like I said, please make sure you check everything that's posted up on Sakai. There's details on the assignments itself, what's expected. If you really want to try Pear Deck, I would let you do it. It's similar. I think you could make this work like that, but I would strongly just suggest doing Nearpod. I think it's the presentation method that most counties really want you to be familiar with. Everyone in here, I'm assuming, can do a PowerPoint. That's kind of it. That's the big assignment this week. We also have, of course, discussion boards, blogs, things like that. I'll have that list up for you. And please, I sent out a message, but make sure you're reading over what's required for the lesson plans. I have a lecture up on that. It's a template. It's based on the 370 class. If you've had it, that's great. If not, don't worry. It is plug and play. And what I mean by that is you answer the questions. We have to do 3 lesson plans in this class. We're related around the technology. So for example, you could do a lesson plan that's based on Nearpod. It is not due for a little while. It's like 3 or 4 weeks down the road, but just please recognize that is due and you might want to go ahead and take a look at it. It is posted up on Sakai. That is it. I hope everyone has a fantastic week. And again, if you have any questions, please stop by my office. I'm there every day pretty much. Office hours are posted on the syllabus, and if I'm not there, fire me an email. We can Zoom, or I'll make sure that we set up a time. Have a great week, everyone.